Bronwyn, thanks for taking the time to join us on Investor Stream. Things look to be gearing up at Indiana's West Marley Gold Project. News this morning that you've identified a new 7,500 metre trend at the Kusikoto licence. This gives you a significant target strike length of about 27.5 kilometres, which I believe is an increase of about 35-36% off the back of the work you've just completed, which extends across the 4 major gold trends. Are you able to outline a few of the priority targets along this strike that you'll be zeroing in on in the next round of drilling?
Yeah, look, sure. The soil anomalies that came up in that last round of technical and data review are really quite compelling. So we've got a number in there that, are well over the 1,000 ppb, and some of them are peaking up to just on 5,000 ppb. So they're really quite compelling numbers. And there's a number of things that we're planning for the upcoming season to follow up those interesting soil anomalies and also build on the drilling that we completed earlier this year. So that will definitely be targeting in around where we saw those peak values in the soil anomaly review. We'd like to go back in and do some RC drilling to follow up those particularly high anomalies. And we'll also be focusing in on additional drilling at the edge, which is one of our high priority target zones in that tenement package. And A5 and A7 are follow-up zones for us as well. I think what we'd be liking to do there is at the edge we'd like to do some deeper diamond drilling. I think that prospect within that tenement is now quite well advanced, and some deep diamond drilling should really deliver us some compelling numbers. And at A5 and A7, that's definitely deserving of some follow-up RC drilling and expanding on the drilling that we completed there during this earlier part of this year.
So I was going through your recent investor presentation, and you're surrounded by the likes of Barrick, Resolute and AngloGold Ashanti, so clearly you're in the right neighbourhood. But why is this proven gold producing jurisdiction so vastly underexplored?
Look, I think the majors, made significant discoveries many years ago, and our operating mines have just been, wonderful bonanza projects for their shareholders and have really delivered the goods in terms of, millions of ounces produced on an annual basis. And the need hasn't really been there for additional exploration and additional drilling to prove up additional resources. What we are seeing though now is some of those more mature assets are getting to lower grade ore bodies, and they're looking to replace those lower grade ore bodies obviously with higher grade ore if they can find it. They haven't invested the money in greenfields exploration expenditure on tenements outside their specific operating zones, and that was part of our strategy in going into this area in Western Mali, was to consolidate a ground position that was quite strategic and significant, that sat alongside some of the existing major producers, very much with the intention of doing some exploration work that could prove up high grade deposits and resources that would be able to replace some of the existing lower grade feed that's going into the operating plants at the moment. From a longer term perspective, what we'd like to do is, this is certainly not about building mines on the project areas that we have. This is very much a strategy of finding higher grade resources that can then be trucked to neighbouring assets for processing on either a toll treatment or some kind of purchase arrangement. So that is the longer term strategy for the company.
With the wet season expected to finish up in less than 30 days, what does the upcoming exploration program look like, and how quickly do you expect to have the first rigs turning?
We'd like to be on the ground pretty quickly in September, and it does depend on how quickly the ground dries out. But, we're pretty comfortable that we can start mobilising field activities in September, so it's not that far away. What we'd like to be doing first is obviously going into the Kusikoto licence and doing the drilling at the edge and A5 and A7, and starting to also follow up some of those soil sample and anomaly highs that we saw on Kusikoto. We also have another tenement further over to the east, which is Kenieko. That's definitely deserving of some additional soil sampling. And there's a licence to the north, Sabasiri, which we've just picked up in a joint venture with a Malian entity. And we've got quite a significant work program that we'd like to roll out on that tenement that soil sampling and mapping. So look, I think, there's definitely a very clear program for us to be undertaking in the last quarter of 2019 that should really see a strong news flow into the market.
And just to wrap up, you also have the Ntaka Hill nickel project, which has seen considerable investment over recent years. How things are shaping up there?
Ntaka Hill is one of our priority assets in our portfolio. It's been a process in Tanzania, obviously, with the changes to the mining code 2 years ago, which has made it a little more uncertain to operate in that country. So we haven't spent so much on development activities as we'd like to at Ntaka. But Ntaka is a significant nickel sulphide deposit. It's historically had a bankable feasibility study on it. It's also had scoping studies for a smaller high-grade operation. It's got a resource sitting there that's, a substantial resource, and we believe it's a significant asset of value. The process that we're now engaging with the government is determining how we will hold the tenure for that licence. It had historically been held under a retention licence, and retention licences were cancelled as part of the new mining code, with companies having to negotiate with the government around how tenure would be returned. So that's a process that we've been working through for the past 2 years, and we've seen significant movement in the Tanzanian market in the past sort of 3 to 4 months. So we're expecting to be spending significant time in Tanzania in the next quarter and really looking at how we can work positively with them to get an outcome on this asset.
Bronwyn, thanks for joining me today, and we look forward to seeing how things develop. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Alex.